What's your take on COVID-19 and finances? How can we recover? How can we innovate? And how can we kind of just win in future with the circumstances that we have right now that are at our feet?
So COVID-19, I think, has been a big wake-up call that the days of job security are gone. You know, I think people are finding this out. You know, I mean, people are called the middle class, but if you actually look at the stats, they are the middle class surviving on debt in terms of keeping that middle class status for a majority of them. And it's scary, and it's the days, I think, of living on one salary, having one job, and thinking that this job you'll have till you're 65. I think those days are gone, because even in that construct, only 5% of South Africans can actually retire. So now imagine our generation who gets disturbed while in their career. You know, so that model, I think, outdated. And as you spoke about not chasing things, but having them come to you. So what I usually say in coaching sessions is, okay, cool. So this is your job. This is what you studied, etc., etc. But what do you love? You know, and if you love your job, then it's fine. That's a career. A career and a job, I think, are very different things. Very. So if your career, you'll attack the money thing differently than if you're in a job. So if you're in a career, that's awesome. Cool. Then what other passions do you have? What other talents? What are things where when you grew up, everyone said, yes. For example, for me, it actually used to be a complaint in the household, although they missed me when I left. the complaint was, yo, Mla, you're always talking. Yes, dude. Like, you're always talking. But apparently when I left that.
Me too.
You see, and today, both of us get paid to talk.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. So today, but obviously we had to fine tune those innate abilities or talents or whatever you want to call it. So for example, I did Toastmasters, I did drama. I'm sure you've done some courses on radio and stuff like that. So you had, but that was a natural God-given, hey, you just enjoy talking. So so you find, for example, you'll find someone, let's say they are an engineer somewhere, but they do have the talent to speak. They never usually think that, hey, maybe on the weekend I could do a slot on a community radio station. Or on the weekend I could be a speaker, and maybe my topic is how I got to engineering from the village. Like I studied in the village, but now I'm an engineer. That's a topic that many organizations would pay that person to go and deliver and stuff like that. So we live in an age where, and I think COVID has really brought this to the fore, that you need to diversify your income streams. It is no longer safe to just have one income stream. And also, another mistake, another thing that I think people don't consider, not all of us maybe want to start something new, but especially if you have a job and a secure income, then you can join others. You know, I mean, young people and young entrepreneurs are always crying about, we can't raise capital, we can't get money, we can't get funding. Well, the fellow young South Africans that are employed have access to that. And if they have not then crushed themselves and all that debt is maybe a fancy apartment, a fancy car, but if they have some disposable income and can raise some capital that way, they can join as shareholders to fellow young people in business. And that's another way to have another income stream. And also, even if you do want to be an entrepreneur, I coach quite a few people on that movement from I'm employed to entrepreneurship. And I think as young people, we tend to we want to jump. We're like, hey, I'm angry at my boss today. I'm jumping.
Yeah.
I see this opportunity. I'm jumping.
Yeah.
No, guys, it needs to be a strategy. And one of the things that I advocate for is that also applies to people that have been retrenched. As we know, this period, especially last year, I had quite a lot of retrenchments. So I would meet people saying, hey, I got retrenched, I got a huge payout, and I want to start a business. And I asked them, do you have a friend in business? Is there someone you respect who's already in business? Work with them first. You know, so you've got that payout, maybe say 10, 20% of that payout, you're going to have a buy-in in the business. And by the way, guys, joining a business, there is more to the negotiation than 50-50. I don't know how many times things have broken down because everyone who wants to negotiate says 50-50. No. I'm doing certain things where I have 10%. I'm doing certain things where I even have 5%. So the issue is that there are, out of the 100%, there's many ways we can slice it. So you have a friend, they're in business, you're thinking of jumping, and you say, hey, I've got X amount, can I buy maybe 10% shares, but I also want to work in it. And in that, you will learn so many things and probably avoid many mistakes. So if you one day do want to branch out, you are better at it, or you can then just grow that particular business with that friend or with that person that you respect already in business.
Okay. So you touched on entrepreneurship, and I think it's a very important conversation because everybody's saying entrepreneurship, but it's hard. It's not easy because there's not a lot of skilled people, and people get stuck on this whole capital. How do I, as a young South African, I've got my degree, I've got my skill set, but I don't see myself working for anybody. I've always worked maybe for my dad or my mother, or I've always had little side businesses, but now I want to grow it into something bigger and I want to have other people on board. What do I need to do? What do I need to be aware of? And how do I start galvanizing like-minded people to join me on this entrepreneurial journey? How would you advise a young person?
So I love what you're talking about in terms of collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, typically the picture that is given for an entrepreneur is that one person, you know, that one superhero type person. And we really need to move away from that Superman or Wonder Woman type entrepreneur. Because even if you actually read on the companies and you actually read deeper than just the posters or adverts and stuff, you find that even when a company has one person in the forefront, so for example, maybe let's use Apple. So when you think of Apple, you think Steve Jobs. But if you actually watch the movie, you'll see that Wozniak was actually the brain of the operation. Yeah. You know, so I think as young people, we need to be very open to collaboration and not say, because if you try to do it alone, imagine all the talents and all the skill sets and all the time that you must have if you're really going to build a business by yourself. It's unlikely to succeed. And even if it does succeed, it's just not as fun.
And it's not as fulfilling. I think it's also not as fulfilling to just be you having now done this huge, it's just not fulfilling.